Ranking every third baseman in Major League Baseball. Third base, a position once seen as the deepest in baseball, is now in kind of an interesting spot. We'll go through each starter and rank them on stats and projections for the 2025 season. And starting off at 30 is Miguel Vargas of the White Sox. There's not much to like about Vargas. He's been a dreadful hitter so far in his time in the major leagues. There's not a whole lot of upside. He doesn't defend well. He doesn't swing and miss much, and he walks a lot, but that's about all he does. He's really just taking up innings on a bad White Sox team. Don't expect too much from him this year. 29 is Oliver Dunn of the Milwaukee Brewers. Dunn is also not much of a hitter and doesn't have a whole lot of promise, but at least he's a bit of a better defender. He also hits the ball fairly hard, but he swings and misses a ton and doesn't make up for it with much power. He too feels like he's just taking up innings, but the Brewers have a tendency to prove me wrong, so I guess we'll see. Number 28 is Jeimer Candelario of the Reds. I'm not too optimistic about this one either. Candelario is a horrible defender, he was horrible last year offensively, and the peripherals are about as bad as you can get. I mean, look at this Baseball Savant page. How can you even be optimistic about this? Even in productive seasons he's had in the past, the peripherals do not like him at all. With all the young talent, I don't know how he's the projected starter, but he is, and this is where he lands. Number 27 is Yoan Moncada of the Angels. Moncada has a little more offensive upside than the guys behind him, and he's not a defensive liability, but the ceiling is only so high. It seems unlikely he'll ever repeat anything close to his 2019 season, and at this point he's become pretty injury-riddled. The contact isn't the worst, but he swings and misses so much it hardly even matters. And he's just the latest of this string of guys I'm not very optimistic about this year. 27 is Gio Urshela of the Athletics. At the very least, I feel like you know what you're getting with Urshela. He's a strong defender, and though he'll never hit much, there seems to be a floor that's at least reasonably high. He's certainly not a starter you want on a playoff team, but for an A's team that's moving in the right direction, he's not a bad signing. It's interesting though, as top-heavy as third base is, the bottom is about as weak as any position we've covered so far. And number 25 is Waldo Cabrera does not change the trend much. I mean no hate towards Cabrera, but I'm disappointed. After the busy offseason the Yankees have, this seems to be one very clear hole still on their roster. Cabrera hasn't really done anything of note as a major leaguer. And unlike Jason Dominguez, there's not really much of a reason to believe he'll get a lot better. He defends well, he's versatile, and the hitting is alright. But I don't love him as New York's everyday third baseman. Number 24 is Jorge Polanco of the Mariners. Polanco's offense fell off a cliff when he got to Seattle, which isn't uncommon, but it's hard to see him bouncing back in a big way. Hitters are always fighting an uphill battle at that ballpark, but even the peripherals don't look amazing. He has good plate discipline, but he swings and misses a ton and doesn't hit the ball all that hard. He was also one of the worst defenders in baseball last year, which I assume is why he's moving to third base, but we'll have to see if that improves it at all. Number 23 is Jose Tena of the Washington Nationals. Tena is the first guy I can say genuinely intrigues me. He didn't do a whole lot in his short stint in the majors last year, but he had some exciting moments. He also put up a crazy hard hit rate and average exit velocity, albeit in a small sample size. But on a young Washington team, he's an intriguing piece that could have some upside going into 2025. I don't know if he sticks at third long term for the Nationals, but we'll see what he can do this year. Number 22 is Matt Shaw of the Chicago Cubs. Shaw's going to be a good player. He's extremely talented. But he's never played a major league game, and we all know that jump is really hard. Shaw's talent will come to play at the majors someday, but I'm just not sure if it'll happen this year or not. I'm optimistic, which is how he got this high, but I'm going to need to see it before I move him any higher. Number 21 is Connor Norby of the Miami Marlins. Norby's another guy who did some interesting things in a small sample size. Norby was an above-average hitter during his time in the major leagues last year, putting up some intriguing power numbers even if the plate discipline was pretty poor. The defense needs work too, but the talent's there. I'm intrigued by Norby going into 2025. Number 20 is Jace Young of the Detroit Tigers. Young played 34 games with the Tigers last year after being called up, and though there were a lot of holes in his game, he put up some excellent on-base numbers. He needs to make better contact for sure, but it's clear he's got a great approach and an elite eye at the plate. He put up a crazy 16% walk rate, which is wild for a rookie, despite the small sample size. He was a well-regarded prospect, and it's clear he's got the talent, he just needs to be consistent in the majors. Number 19 is Michael Garcia of the Kansas City Royals. Many thought Garcia was primed for a breakout in 2024, but that didn't really happen. A 614 OPS and 1.1 WAR is not what the Royals were hoping for. That said, the 33-point gap between his ex-WOBA and his WOBA tells you that he underperformed by quite a bit last year. He squares up the ball really well, he doesn't swing and miss, he plays great defense, and he's an elite base runner. There's reasons for optimism, but he's just got to put it all together. Number 18 is Ernie Clement of the Blue Jays. Clement does a lot of things well. He makes a lot of contact, he never swings and misses, and his 7 outs above average was in the 92nd percentile last year. He just doesn't hit the ball very hard. He put up 12 home runs last year, but his expected slugging was low and his hard hit rates were even lower. All the same, he was a 2-WAR player last year and is a solid piece for the Blue Jays. Number 17 is Ryan McMahon of the Rockies. This is a turning point for me. Here's where we go from guys who have some promising aspects to guys who are regular forces at third base. McMahon wasn't an incredible hitter last year, but he's good for a mid-7 OPS any given year. He hits the ball extremely hard, with average exit velos and hard hit rates in the 90-plus percentile. He walks a lot, he plays elite defense. Ryan McMahon is a very solid Major League third baseman. Number 16 is Josh Young of the Texas Rangers. After a big rookie year, 2024 was something of a lost season for Young. He regressed everywhere, but he was very injured, so I'm not too worried about it. At his best, you have a very talented hitter who hits the ball hard even though he doesn't walk a lot and swings and misses a good bit, and he plays elite defense at third too. He's not the best, but he's very solid, and a bounce-back year is in the cards if he's healthy. Number 15 is Ke'Bryan Hayes of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Hayes is a very similar case, a lost 2024 after a strong 2023. The numbers were dreadful, but it was apparent he was never healthy the entire year. Even his defense took a hit last year. That's how you know he wasn't healthy. In the prior 3 years, he was the best defender at third base no matter what stat you're looking at. He also makes a lot of contact and hits the ball fairly hard too. If healthy, he's an elite defender with a solid enough bat to get by. Number 14 is Junior Caminero of the Rays. Caminero is going to be good this year. He got a little taste of the majors at the end of last year and he played really well. Over a full season, the way he played last year would have made him worth 2 wins above replacement, and that's only going to get better. His offensive ceiling is as high as anybody at third base, and he's athletic enough for his defense to improve too. This is another breakout that's on the way, and I'm confident it's this year. Number 13 is Isaac Paredes of the Astros. Paredes was really bad with the Cubs last year, but that's not going to last in Houston. I've talked about it before, but that ballpark is the best ballpark for him in the entire major leagues. Paredes doesn't hit the ball that hard, but he likes to hit fly balls and line drives down the line, and that's perfect with the Crawford boxes in left field. He's a solid defender who walks a lot and may hit 30 home runs this year. Watch out for Isaac Paredes in Houston. Number 12 is Jordan Westburg of the Baltimore Orioles. Westburg is a fantastic hitter. He had a 125 WRC plus last year, and his peripherals show it could have been even better. His expected slugging percentage was .491, and that's in the 92nd percentile, and his .353 expected WOBA was in the 88th percentile. And don't forget, Baltimore's wall is moving back in. He's a poor defender, but he mashes, and that's alright. Number 11 is Mark Vientos of the New York Mets. Westburg and Vientos are pretty similar. Both are hard-hitting third basemen who swing and miss a lot and play pretty poor defense. But Vientos gets the edge because of the big 2024 season he had. His 133 WRC plus and 2.9 WAR last year were huge, not to mention his postseason heroics. He's bound for some regression, which is why he isn't higher, but even with some regression, he's still a top 11 third baseman. Number 10 is Max Muncy of the LA Dodgers. Muncy only played half a season last year, but it was the best season he's had in a while. He put up a massive 135 WRC plus, and over a full season he would have been right around a 5 WAR player. As always, the power was strong and the plate discipline was some of the best in all of baseball. We don't normally think of Muncy as a great defender, but he was above average at third base this season too. I don't think he'll be as good this year, especially as he continues to get older, but he's sure to be a powerful force in LA's lineup. Number 9 is Nolan Arenado, and I guess he's still a Cardinal. It's pretty clear Arenado's on the wrong side of his prime. His numbers dropped pretty sharply this year, and it doesn't look like it's going to get a whole lot better going forward. He just doesn't hit the ball hard anymore. His hard hit rate and barrel rate were 12th and 6th percentile respectively. His defense is still elite. The 9 outs above average he put up last year was still 95th percentile, but he's not the same hitter anymore. Number 8 is Royce Lewis of the Minnesota Twins. Will Royce Lewis ever stay healthy for a full season? Like Byron Buxton before him, Lewis is a high draft pick with all the talent in the world who just can't seem to stay on the field. He was great in 2023 when he played. His 2024 wasn't as good, but it was still pretty good when he was actually on the field. He's this high because he's that good when he's healthy. The problem is he just needs to stay healthy. Number 7 is Eugenio Suarez of the Diamondbacks. Leaving Seattle did good for Suarez, as his bat thrived in Arizona this year. Suarez put up a very respectable 115 WRC plus last year en route to a 3.5 WAR season. He's always good for a lot of home runs. He hit 30 last year, and he got on base at a decent clip too. His defense was also clearly above average, making him all around a very valuable player. Also, I have no idea what this celebration is, but I love it. Points for Suarez. Number 6 is Alec Bohm of the Philadelphia Phillies. Bohm got off to an incredibly hot start in 2024, and though he fizzled off a little bit, it was still an incredibly productive season. His 115 WRC plus and mid-3 WAR puts him right on track with Suarez, but his defense was even better, with 5 outs above average putting him in the 88th percentile. Bohm made a lot of contact this year, and it was high-quality contact. If this is the player Bohm ends up being, the Phillies have one of the best lineups in all of Major League Baseball. Number 6 is Manny Machado of the San Diego Padres. Machado's absolute best days are probably behind him, but he's still a top 5 third baseman in baseball. A 122 WRC plus and a 3.6 WAR is something you'll take from the hot corner any day. Though some parts of his game aren't what they used to be, he still hits the ball extremely hard. His average exit velocity of 92.5 is in the 93rd percentile. He's not quite prime Manny anymore, but Manny still mashes. Number 4 is Rafi Devers of the Boston Red Sox. Speaking of mashing, nobody at third base mashes quite like Devers does. 2024 was yet another elite offensive season from Devers with a 134 WRC+. He swings and misses a lot, but with pop like that it doesn't matter. His one true major flaw is his defense. It's awful. He really should be DHing, but as a third baseman, he's the fourth best in baseball. Number 3 is Austin Riley of the Atlanta Braves. Like all three of his teammates we've covered before him, 2024 wasn't as kind to Riley. The peripherals suggest he was still elite. His xWOBA, xSlugging, average exit velocity, barrel rate, hard hit rate were all in the 90th percentile or above. The results didn't fall, but he'll bounce back, I'm sure of it. He's also not a great defender, but you can get by with his defense. He's not actively hurting his team the way Devers is. Riley's still elite, and he will bounce back, just like his other teammates. Number 2 is Matt Chapman of the San Francisco Giants. Some of you are probably surprised to see Chapman at number 2, but if you are, you shouldn't be. Chapman is an excellent all-around baseball player. He put up a 5.5 WAR and a 121 WRC+ last year. Incredible. His xWOBA and xSlugging were both 75th percentile or above. His average exit velo was in the 96th percentile. Is he the hitter Devers and Riley are? Probably not. But Matt Chapman is genuinely a five-tool baseball player. We know he's a great defender. His 8 fielding run value was 88th percentile. His outs above average of 11 was 96th. But did you know his speed is in the 84th percentile and his base running value in the 90th? Yeah, Matt Chapman, the five-tool player indeed. And number 1 is Jose Ramirez of the Guardians. Shocker, I know, but was there any other answer? Ramirez has been the best third baseman in baseball probably for a very long time now. He's just good at everything. I mean, come on, the guy almost went 40-40 last year. A 141 WRC+, the best at the position, and a 6.5 WAR, the best at the position by an entire win. The 39 home runs really wasn't a surprise, but I didn't even realize Ramirez had 40 stolen base speed. His defense is good too. Not elite, but still well above average. But what do you think? Who's too high? Who's too low? Can you somehow make a case for somebody other than Ramirez? Let me know down below and be sure to subscribe for more baseball content.